So the batteries just died.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yes.
Unfortunately, batteries died.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, patrons, for helping us buy batteries, basically.
Yeah.
So I do have more batteries.
Yes.
So here we are, managed to finish it off.
Yeah.
What I was just saying was
Yeah.
that we basically camp next door to a group called Black Scar.
Yeah.
These are very martial people.
Yeah.
They don't fuck about.
Yeah.
But some members, not all
Yeah.
of them, might have been involved in some rather outrageous criminal acts.
Yes.
So one of these people is a man called Ban Shattersong.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's
Really
exploits,
cool player.
dude. Like the guy's like a class act,
Yeah.
top and bottom, like absolutely awesome. But a person that once they put their mind to a task,
Yes.
will undoubtedly be able to do that task.
Has been successful at tasks.
Many times.
Yes.
Right?
Which is
Like,
cool.
yeah.
Right?
So I'm talking to this person that may or may not be a member of said Assassin's Guild that probably doesn't exist, so whatever. But like this person told me
Yeah.
that a contract had been put out on my life,
Yeah.
and that the recipients of said bounty were Black Scar.
Yeah.
Now Black Scar are very good at what they do.
Yes.
And there was a part of me that was like, I'm fucking dead.
Yes.
There's no way I'm going to be able to survive an assault from Black Scar. Also, by the way, the only time I get to walk on my own is the walk from our camp to OC area to go pee. And it's only about 20 yards.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's where Black Scar camp. So now I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that opportunity's now gone. I don't even get to walk on my own going to the loo anymore.
Your paranoia levels at this point had really peaked.
Bubbles.
I came back from my jolly evening out.
Yeah.
And you were like proper freaking out.
I was a wreck. I went home early because I was exhausted and tired and just generally beat up. And I couldn't sleep.
Oh.
I was like...
we were sitting in the tent talking about it all.
Yeah, let's talk about this conversation.
This is a really interesting conversation.
So we have a power, and bear in mind, Black Scar are literally the camp over.
Yeah.
So
we have to whisper inside the tent.
We have to whisper inside the tent to have this conversation. Where I'm just like, Black Scar's potentially taking the contract, and you had the same reaction I did. Was like, nah, no way.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
we can't take the risk.
Depends on how much the contract was, right? Everyone's got a price, right? And it is an absolute mad laddery, it's crazy, right?
We definitely can't rule it out.
It's crazy enough that Ban might try it, right? And I was buzzing. I couldn't sleep.
Yes.
I couldn't stop thinking about tomorrow, the motion that had to be passed, all the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
Everything was just blowing through my mind. And then we had to have this conversation. And bear in mind, I was like, what happens if we just approached them and said how much to pay off the bounty and for you to go after the people?
Yeah.
And Ian, what did you say?
I said that would set a bad precedent.
You did say that would be a bad precedent, Ian.
Yeah.
And you do understand the full ramifications.
I completely understood.
Of what that would mean. That if you refuse to take that, if you refuse to put that option on the table, then you're effectively trading Gellert Ashbourne for reputation.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to.
I
just wanted to make sure that
I think that was very clear.
Okay.
And I think what I actually really liked about it was because it was a weird kind of ICOC conversation. It was definitely at that point IC, and I think Gellert kind of agreed with it.
I agree. Well,
yeah, in a sense, or at least he respected that's how it was, right?
Yeah,
and you accepted the decision. Yeah. It was such a cool conversation to have.
Okay, so my feeling on it was like I don't want to die. It would suck. I like Gellert. I like what I've done with the game. I love the fact I've managed to become Ambassador Jean. However, in this moment, and this is not an open invite to come and kill Gellert Ashbourne. I do not want to be assassinated, especially by some bullshit, right? But
good crime.
But good crime for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
If someone wanted to kill me, then they have to have the right reasons, right? Yeah. And I feel like I've generated enough game to actually have
exactly right. So it changes it, right?
People had legitimate reasons to possibly to kill me, right? Yeah. But the idea of going into Sunday and Gellert, who passionately wanted to build a better relationship with Jean, is assassinated,
heading
to the Senate to try and do what he can to try and rectify the situation between the two nations.
How bad that looks.
It's so beautiful, though. Like, narratively, that's a fucking story.
Cool. It's a cool story.
That's a fucking story. So I'm lying in bed. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm like rolling through my head.
We spoke about it.
Of seeing what Black Scar going into the kill mode, like the fucking, the eyes turn white as they're opening their jaws type thing, like like that moment, and being like, this is how it happens. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is how well played. Fonk, crossbow in the chest, venom, execute. Do you know what I mean? Like, good night, Gellert Ashbourne, right? And I'm playing through this in my head. I eventually get some sleep, okay? But the last words that we had the conversation was, you said that potentially not all of Black Scar would be taking the field. And that I was like, well, fuck, that means that they'll actually have some ballers out, right? Some hitters. And I'm like, so I've got Bungle to defend me, and I'm like, I'm going to kill Bungle. Like, that's what's going to happen tomorrow. If I go out with just him, we're fucked. So I'm like, we need to get out of the Navarre camp and disappear into the fucking...
I suggested it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. I suggested you go to one place.
I must have got 4 hours sleep a night every night we stayed there. I was completely exhausted.
I was too.
Like, absolutely blitzed.
I can only imagine, dude. You were pushing so hard all day, every day.
I'm not the brightest man at the best of times, but I could feel my IQ dribbling out my ears after a while. I was just... I couldn't remember anything. Like, my brain had just... Anyway... but yeah, so early that morning, before time in, I donned my stuff and we got out of there, and it was me, Bung, and another guy, and we basically tried to disappear. But you went off to battle. What was the battle like?
Oh my word. Okay, so sorry.
It's the other sheet.
Okay. So this was the battle with Urizen and Dawn, and I apologise, I can't remember the other nations, but this was in Zenith. Alright, so Zenith has, like, because it's Urizen-y sort of land and stuff, it's like, I've got to fight hard for this one, right?
Okay.
Like, as well, right? Like,
there's some skin in the game.
Yeah, I've got some, it's not somewhere I don't know, a region I don't care about, like, I actually care. Like, I see care about it, which means I OC care about it, right? And the objectives I described before, there's basically these orbs we have to destroy, right? And they're being transported by these heralds, and they have to put them in these pools of water, and neither side know where the pools of water are. So it's kind of like a big search and sort of destroy mission, right?
It sounds ridiculous.
It's so much fun.
It's great.
So that was the objectives were immediately interesting, tactically arresting, all the things you want going into a battle. Everybody's hyped and excited.
Get the eggs, stop them going in the pond.
There's also the objective of actually taking an egg and bringing it back for examination.
Okay.
Which is like a secondary objective, right? So
I can't see this going well for the Empire.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really fun.
It's a fun one. And then also there's the objective of they're herding these things called... marshlings, I think they are.
Marshwalkers?
No, we get to that later.
Oh.
So I think they're called marshlings, and basically if they're herded together to this place, they'll form a marshwalker, which is something much more significant.
Yes.
Right? So the idea is that we've got to kill these things so they can't be... to prevent them being herded into a situation. That's another objective. So you've already got all these different little elements, right? To the whole story of the battle that's playing out.
Is this well communicated to the forces in front of you?
We knew all about it as Navarchers. I felt like Navarre knew all about it going into the battle. I feel we were very well informed. So bravo to everybody who was helping in distributing that information. I mean, and that was fun to participate in as well. So that was great, right? And to walk out of a bunch of the Navarchers, have us again operating. Now we've actually fought together as well. Like, it was super cool, right? So as we're going through the gate, we're kind of in the sort of the forest section, okay? So it's pretty deep, dense forest, and we're kind of pushing through trying to find these things. We're trying to move at a pretty decent speed. Because it's essentially a race, right? So and in this race, there's no prize becoming second.
So you're going up the left side through the tree line, basically?
Yeah, essentially. And we're kind of going pretty deep in there. Like, you know that fort that's in the trees?
There isn't a fort there all the time.
Yeah, but this time there was, because it was there from the previous battle. That's right to the side. So we're in the deep forest that surrounds that fort.
Okay.
And all the different angles and avenues that creates. And we're sort of breaking up and down the line, essentially, as Navarchers, kind of in our sort of systems, working together, trying to find people. But just from the motion of these kind of forces rushing to get to positions and hold them and explore them, try and find the water, all the different things, right? And bear in mind, they've got objectives that are dynamic too, right? Because they don't know where the pools are either, right? So Instinct creates this sort of land grab for territory, pushing in different directions. Everyone's dispersing out. I kind of lose a bunch of people for a little bit of time, which isn't something that doesn't normally happen. And I lost Quinn for a bit, right? But like managed to catch up with them basically just when they really kicked off, and then we were like moving around the battlefield with a bunch of the other Navarchers, and just it was a really kind of dynamic kind of captaincy role where I was kind of just moving up and down the line, telling people where I wanted them and getting them to come back to me and tell me what is going on that flank and stuff. And that we're going to shift around to this position. A bunch of times you lose people in battle like that, but if you can get like 3-4 people and sort of spread the word, you can get a good body together quite quickly. It was so much fun, and there was points where we were fighting against the marshlings that I described earlier, where they're quite hard to kill. They're very kind of DPS-y sponge.
What do they look like?
Kind of like plant sort of monsters. They're not Valorn, right? But they're essentially like big shambling mounds of moss, right?
Weird.
It's pretty cool, and there's a whole bunch of them as well. And they do this thing where as more of them get together, they kind of almost like stick together and form one big blob, which is tied together. Yeah.
What?
So this is kind of happening. Like at various points, we're trying to break them apart.
So people in these suits are kind of gathering together,
and when they gather together, they kind of like almost tied together. I think. Bear in mind, this is all sort of theatre of the mind taking place here, and we're trying to basically pry some of them off and basically break them off this formation and basically herd them out into single sort of blobs, so then we can kill them. All that's happening while the Druj are running around, doing crazy stuff along like the other wing that at that point I wasn't part of. But I've got Navarchers up there basically along that line. And then we basically push through these marsh walkers, and Caro runs forward, and this sort of big confrontation happens, and then the Druj kind of hits from the side, and we just completely lose Caro behind a whole rush of people. Yeah, he's like way forward at this point. Like the kind of distance where you're like...
The Druj will execute your ass.
Yeah, it was the kind of distance where it's like... And the kind of reality of the forces that were in question... That like he's going to get downed out there, and we have to go and get him back now.
So he's still fighting out there.
He's there. Like he's like 1, 2, 3 people were out there, and we're talking like 20, 30 people moved into that sector.
Oh, I love it. Like like lost in like the like the ocean crashing against a fucking coastline. You know.
Yes. Yeah. We got smashed at that point, but we're falling back as Navarchers putting fire in. I'm trying to like talk to fire at this point, and I'm like. We've like Caro's in there, we've got to go in, and he turns to me and says, "We're not all dying for one man." And then we're like, "It was so good, right?" And then we like do this fade backwards. So then at this point, we're like getting pushed heavily, and people are getting kind of really heavily pressed on that section. At that point, we've got some Dornish helping us as well, and basically, I'm sort of at that point almost like an air traffic kind of warden, like behind them. Like basically saying like we're doing a wheeling motion
behind
basically.
them. Everyone listen to that.
I'm basically saying left side has to move slower, right side has to move faster, so we can actually avoid ourselves like having bits cut off.
Clever girl.
And people were doing it. It was so cool, like to see the formation wheel. And then we got some reinforcements from some more Navarre, and then we just pushed them back again. I have no idea how this happened, what the fuck he did. But Caro suddenly breaks through the line, right? And is like right next to you, and I'm like, I thought you were a dead man, and he was, and he just is basically like, I got pushed back into the front or whatever. So I have no idea what's involved in that. I kind of am basically like, never run off recklessly like that again.
To say I got pushed, you didn't run and get there.
I've no idea. Like, Caro's side of this story, I have no idea what happened.
I love it. That's so fucking
cool.
But
just to see him, I was 100% certain he was dead. 100% certain he was dead. At the moment I saw the forces moving in, I was getting pushed back. You all looked
harrowed as fuck when you came back. Now I understand a bit more about it.
This happened 2 times. That Caro was like beyond the line and got sort of taken down, and we couldn't save him, and then suddenly he came back. It was amazing. Like, absolutely bonkers level of shit. At this point, we're kind of... Now the initial rush for territory is kind of over. And this is all a fairly small period of time that I've just described. So that initial kind of land grab is finished. And now we're basically... Both forces have their kind of control points and areas, and we're essentially now trying to take out the heralds that we can see. I don't see them for quite a while, but when they emerge, they're basically very fast running people, like all in like robes and stuff, and they're like not moving slowly.
Oh,
all right, and letting you shoot them. It's
good.
None of that.
Good,
right? And they're
no
running,
standing there preaching to the forces.
It was like full on. We've got an egg, and you ain't having it, right?
Yeah,
it was really cool. And you're like you're trying to wing a few shots in. Oh man, I got so close on one shot. It was so good. Like the guy literally like jumped and like leant to avoid it. It was so good. It was like epic. So that's all happening, and then I'm basically like at this point dispersing the Vashtas across the line and trying to send some people down to where Dawn and then Urizen are, and seeing Urizen walk into the sort of sector after they'd cleared up where they were and being repositioned. It was so cool because it was like super intense, like where we were, and I just like called out to them, and there was like Vigilus and Lanius in the front line. And they were like, they called that. It was so good. It was like epically like, and then they came in and helped, and then fucking Dawn came in. It was so much fun to like have that sort of perspective on the battle. Just when you get the cinematic of all of these different colours.
Okay.
And armours, all this stuff just moving together. It looks beautiful.
Do you know what sounds great about this battle?
Yeah.
Not everyone was there just to kill each other.
Yeah.
Right? It creates way more of a dynamic, fun battle with all these different groups moving around and stuff. If it's like there are like clearly defined fun objectives for people to take part in, right?
Dynamic objectives.
Dynamic objectives, right?
Right, that require movement. Right, that's ultimately you're after. Like, because if you move people around, then different roles suddenly become interesting.
Take thing from A to B. Take things from A to B, C, and D. Right? Like,
I mean, like planning a battle, dude. I mean, that's a lot.
Fuck no. I don't want that shit.
Exactly, but like, it's interesting to think about what I really enjoy personally. Like maybe people really do enjoy the other side of it, which is just like full hard pressed shield lines.
It's interesting. It's more like,
but that my type of game I enjoy is quite dynamic.
I think also if you're planning a battle, I'm sure scale, right? Like so your like 50-person ILARP events might have a very different sense of what an objective should be. Maybe holding objectives is actually much better than you know.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and I think when you're like you might have a plan for how the battle might go, but then maybe that 50 group, that very small protective force you put in an area holds the whole battle.
But exactly, and it's like, but that first battle, right? You have 3 forts rather than one giant big conga line of people protecting, having that breaking that. It's good. It's good.
It was so good.
I'm gutted I wasn't there. Man. Sorry, keep going. Like
as we're working at this point, I'm with Nicasia briefly as kind of she's giving out the sort of instructions to Urizen as they move into this area. And then this herald just comes like bursting through this section of line because we kind of created a salient and cut them off, and it was just like the herald pretty much exposed with like a bunch of people, like maybe like 20 people with them, which given the forces that were in the area was not a lot. So we go like running after them, like shooting at them, and the force is drawn into this sort of section where all of a sudden there's a Druj counter push. Like maybe we've just been led into an ambush.
Druj.
It was very good. It was like either a really good spot by them or whatever. It was like awesome. So then they push really hard at us, and at this stage I kind of get like overrun, like trying to hold the line, and I get taken down.
Hold on, you managed to get the wrong side of our lines.
Yeah.
incredible. That must have been something.
It was a really fast push, and so I like shot one on the way in, and then just got taken down basically. And then, as well as me, is Silver, who's basically been running as like one of my kind of key people in the Navacha block, right? He's like the person who, like, I basically got a couple of people who, like, you know, you can like do this, send those people, those assets here so we can get information and come back to me and tell me what's going on, and he'll do it like straight up, right? So he's like down not far away from me, and then fucking Quinn comes running in, right?
No way!
With, like this kind of support unit, and like basically them and some other heroes, so healers who were heroes, come rushing and sort of basically get us all up, perform like medical stuff there, and like pull us out. It was so cool, and then we're able to sort of reform and push into that section.
Like Quinn's your homie at this stage.
At this stage, right? It's like so good.
Like,
and then at this stage, I'm like tired as well. At this stage, we've been doing a lot of running around. So I'm like, we're gonna basically move to the other side of the front and like the main line, and basically look at people who are like where we're weak and try to pull anybody out who is down, basically. So a whole bunch of the time we're just kind of moving, sort of with waiting for when there's somebody in the shield wall who basically takes a hit and needs to get like taken off the line. We just go in and grab them and pull them out, basically, to save anybody else in the line having to do that. Right, so you don't lose 3 people, you just lose 1 person off the line when you're pulling them back, right?
This is pretty dumb. Healers and archers.
Yeah, so we end up taking them basically back to the vines, if we can, which is like a Navari healer block. Or we, because I'm a healer, and with a healer who's also a magic healer, because Quinn's like got like fast heal and all this kind of stuff on the go.
Yeah,
right?
Very fancy. Yeah. Okay.
Like, and they've got like potions that we've got them so they can like get me up, basically. I gave them one of my sovereigns, they could get me up basically if I get downed. So
hold on, you're handing out sovereign specifics.
Yeah.
How good is a friend is this person?
So Quinn was running with me, so it's important that if like this can get either one of us out, basically.
Wow, by the way, it took me a very long time. I would have survived my first death if I had one of those, by the way. Just want to let everyone know. So.
Hey.
What? So Quinn, enjoy it. Enjoy your time in the sun, because it will end. It will end.
It was a lot of fun. So we go around basically rescuing all these sort of different groups. Then we reform again. And at this stage, the battle had reached that kind of point where we just kind of basically had to get everybody out to the gate because it was going to close in a few minutes, right? And there was like a proper countdown on it, I think.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah. So it's like there's a lot of forces engaged.
I suppose it makes sense because under those objectives, people might run around for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
So basically, we get informed that we have to leave, and we're trying to pull out all of these different ripples. Almost. Imagine you've got like an area of uneven land, and you spill water on it, and the different rivulets that all those bits of water go to, and where they salient and bulge, right? All of those different tendrils that are reaching out into the enemy have to be retracted, essentially,
like wax, right?
And it has to like recede and then move back to the gate. And different places in that section are doing that at different speeds.
Withdrawal is the hardest thing to do well.
Right,
you can fuck it up so quick, right? Or be fucked by a group next to you that moves too far.
Yeah. I'm up with Crimson Guard and some awesome Dornish, and we're basically just trying to make sure that I can do that whole aircraft controller thing, and like make sure that by pulling out, we're not just pulling out in a line, we're wheeling often to sort of make sure that we don't lose people when they get cut off by the terrain that we're moving over, because it's the woods, right?
Yeah.
It worked really well, and everyone was really working well to make it work. Like falling back slower in one section and faster in another section along a line is really hard.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone was like proper doing it really well. So we just sort of slowly fall back to this kind of first position, so then we can hold for all these other sort of rivulets of water that I described to kind of pull back as well, right? Because then we can continue the pullback as a unified force rather than leave one force cut off.
Sounds beautiful.
It was amazing, right? But while this is all going on, we're holding our section. There's basically this little archery pop-off that takes place, right? Because it's also reached that point where we're kind of aware.
It's always the archers. This is another thing I hate about archers, by the way. the scavenger vibe they have towards the end of a battle, especially towards a withdrawing force.
It's so good.
Just fuck off.
It's so funny.
Like,
oh man,
we all know you're there. We're all very tired.
I love the monstering archers, right? Because they'll just like you might be quite safely retreating and getting ready to leave the battles, and the monstering archers will just be like, "No, you've been impaled.
Yes.
It's not even probably going to kill you. You just have to get healed now."
You're all tired. There's no one to follow up on the impale. It's just a pain in the ass.
I love it. The cheekiness, the sort of like the kind of the sort of little spectacle it can make actually is quite fun, I think. And like you get people kind of like cheering when one of theirs goes down and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun.
And people still did. I hope everyone still cheers a good nut shot from a. Like if
I've had one of those before. They're no joke, dude. They're no joke.
Yeah, for real. Like I've caught one on the head, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But hey, I love to hate archers.
Oh well. The other thing was, I had completely forgotten about this. Going into this event, I really wanted to get a new bow, and because my existing bow was this is how bad it is, everyone. My existing bow was brown, and Talis wears green and gold.
No,
and I really wanted my bow to be color coordinated with my outfit.
No.
I know, it's gross.
No.
It's absolutely gross.
Is that even how colour coordination works?
I don't know. Just double down on all the colours all the time.
No,
it doesn't really work that way.
Like,
no.
I'm no fashionista, but I'm pretty sure that's not how fashion works.
I think Talis is like
contrast, right?
Yeah. Whereas I don't know. It's been a lot of fun, but it's like at the end of the day, it is me who is not very good at fashion. Right, like basically directing where this is going. But anyway, it was so much fun.
I have holes in the armpits of my my shirt when I walk around.
So at this stage, we're basically the battle's pretty much over, and we're just retracting fully out of the gate. There's injuries, and at this point I've also lost contact with Quinn. Right, like in the final kind of pull out.
This little bromance
is so good, and I was like, so I get through the line, and I kind of knew they were safe because I saw them last kind of around where Silver was.
Yeah.
So I knew they were all right. But so I come out the gate, and then the person who introduced me to Quinn was like, "Where's Quinn?"
What?
Yeah.
Where is Quinn?
No. So then at this stage, I'm like, I know they're right behind me, right, and. You know that bit in Jaws where he starts off like running kind of slowly along the beach as he's kind of like he's not sure, like nothing bad's happened, right? And then he starts like running faster and looking along the line. That's kind of how I was, like oh shit, what if like I did lose Quinn, right? And then eventually I'm just like fuck, right there. Like literally just having a conversation. I was like, I am so pleased. Like it would have been devastated if I'd lost Quinn.
Well, Quinn, enjoy it. One day you'll probably be bad for his reputation. So
amazing.
Just look out for that when that happens. But
so the overall outcome of the battle was a partial success. I'm not entirely certain, but I heard that basically the bad stuff that would happen if the eggs basically went in the water didn't happen. So Zenith, even though we weren't able to properly defeat some of the other aspects of the battle, Zenith is not suddenly like a attrition-ridden horrible place. Although I think it actually already is.
Yeah, I've heard bad things about it.
Zenith is a bad dude to fight in, basically. In fact, all of the Urizeni territories to fight in.
Urizeni is basically all like you're going to RP, you're going crazy.
Yeah,
that's like a lot of.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
To go and fight in those sort of.
If you go and fight in the Black Plateau, it's some real business.
I fucking love fighting the Druj. They're one of my favourite baddies
the Druj
ever.
are amazing to fight.
Like they're really nasty and fun and mean and smart and good.
It's easy to hate them, right? And to go and
they're great.
Yeah, they're just brilliant bad guys.
What's weird as well is, do you not find like people end up RPing as they're like obviously some people, most people are trying to RP, but like. When you're fighting Druj, it's different from fighting Jotun, right?
Yeah.
It feels different, right?
You want them dead.
I want all of them dead, but I mean, let's talk about something that happened during that battle.
Yes,
that has. Oh, jeez, I don't know. This is going to be like a.
So, I kind of I kind of knew, because Sparrow likes to run off and like act as a solo, while the rest of the Adventure Blob essentially work in sort of this buddy system, right? But he likes that aspect of game, and I don't want the Archers to be this thing where you just like dictate you have to be doing this thing, right? And that's not the kind of spirit of it anyway. So it's just like, I knew he was running up and down the line. I saw him a whole bunch of times through the battle, just killing it, being Sparrow, just running up and down the line, being awesome, right? And then later when we returned to standing, basically after the battle, I'd seen him limping around the camp, like, but I didn't realise. Like, I just thought, okay, it's just RPing an injury, right? But I didn't realise that he basically had this marshalling and like stabbed him during the battle, and he'd had part of the sort of marshalling kind of detach inside him, and it had grown inside him as like a traumatic wound, and if he didn't get it checked within a certain amount of time, it would kill him. So he basically walks into the circle to make like an announcement how he feels kind of hot, and then he just like collapses in the middle of the standing circle, and everybody kind of rushes on to basically like find out what's going on. There's like a quick medical examination. There's a proclamation that we should turn the circle, to which is basically like a kind of a coup de grace kind of sort of a merciful kind of way to ensure that things like of that kind of nature, I don't fully understand it actually, but like kind of don't damage the soul in some way, right? That the soul can pass on properly. While that's being done, there's a kind of a proposal put forward that he should be known as the nation's songbird.
Yeah.
And like everybody kind of was like kind of chanting that while we were singing like the Turning the Circle song. I'd just come back before any of this had happened from going to God, where I'd passed you and Keys earlier, and I'd come back with a massive stack of arrows from God that I'd retrieved, and I'd kind of got to standing a little bit late, basically coming back having gathered it all up, so I was there pretty much the announcement before this one, and I'd put all the arrows therefore to the side, just to sort of like return them to camp properly later. And then when he was kind of lying there, and it was just like I needed to sort of like do something. So I kind of picked up one of the arrows from the stack, and I kind of walk into the circle, and it was just great. Like there's a bunch of people around him, and like everyone, like people are like crying around the circle. It was like super emotional. He's talking to the people who are healing him as he kind of like passes and stuff, and then like I had no idea how this came across, but what I did in my mind was I said that an Adventure flies forever, and then I kissed the arrow, and then I leant down and laid it next to him. It was so good, dude. It was like, man. And then like as he's being healed up, as he's being passed on, one of the sort of main healers, like the leader of the vines essentially, comes around and asks to see our hands because we've touched him, and we need to be examined. And he's doing this all while the sort of ritual's being done, and everyone's sort of chanting Nation's Songbird. And he kind of checks us over, and we're okay. At first I didn't know what was going on. I was like, but then it was just like, it was so cool to have that element added to the whole grief of it.
The Navarro practicality.
Yeah, it was so good. And then like literally after the turning was done, he kind of said, this is what happens if you don't get checked out properly to the circle. Like, you have to come to the healers and get healed. It was so Navarre and awesome. And then we carry Sparrow's body back to the tent for him, and I'm kind of carrying him out the circle on like holding one of his arms, and we're kind of going back. And man, it's like Sam is like, it's a big deal, right,
dude? Like
for everybody involved, it's like huge emotions.
We're probably going to talk to Sam probably in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we're probably going to get some of his perspectives. Like, we love Sparrow.
Yeah.
We love Sam. Like, the stuff he's done for the nation, new players, himself.
Yeah.
It has just been, it's been a real privilege to kind of watch him do what he's done.
Yeah.
And what's great about LARP is we all get to kind of like live these fun fantasy lives, right, and do all this stuff. But it's like, I highly recommend Dying. I highly recommend it. I think Sparrow did it in the right way.
Well, it was
the devastation that sparrow shaped hole, right, is like so great.
It's such a good story, right?
Yeah. Let's kind of move on from there.
Yeah.
But we'll hopefully talk to Sam, and we'll hopefully get something maybe that we can kind of talk about and maybe release.
Yeah, go over it. Yeah.
But let's leave it there. Like,
so straight after that, basically, I kind of am walking back from that situation, and right there is Lanius, right? And
your Euros home.
Yeah, right.
Our Euros.
Yeah. And he kind of, consoles me. I'm like pretty emotional, right?
Dude, like, talk about a great character to have right there.
Yeah, literally right there is fucking Lanius. It was so fucking good.
That's cool.
Yeah, I loved it, dude. It was exactly what I needed, because it also, Lanius is a really good figure for me to sort of like pull me suddenly into the game. You know what I mean?
Lanius is like
what he represents to my character.
Dude, I like Lanius because ain't no one going harder than him on the battlefield. But there's an affection and an empathy that comes off him. Yeah. Like he's the Eurozeni I shake hands with very occasionally.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a big deal.
Yeah. And
I know it's a big deal, and like, I love Lanius for it, right? Like, what a perfect character to have at that moment of grief.
It was amazing. And then, okay, so I'm consoled, and it's like, I'm getting ready to walk back to camp, and then he says that we would start talking about battle and like generally how it went. We were happy with it. And he tells me that apparently he ran out in the middle of the battle, grabbed hold of one of the eggs, and like ran back with it like above his head back to the lions or something. I might be getting that entirely wrong, by the way. I apologise if I got the story wrong. But
who's this, Lanius or Sparrow?
Lanius.
Oh god.
Right? And I'm like, that I could believe that to be true.
Yeah.
I could believe that to be true.
Yeah. The legend of Lanius.
So it was such a cool story to be like, a really good friend of Talus has kind of died, and then there's also like another really good friend of Talus who's like really succeeding and doing awesome and is there to help.
The thing is, like, you can experience both when you're LARPing really hard, like the fucking joy
someone else's success, right? Like,
being I actually the hero, right?
Yeah, dude, and seeing people like properly sort of go in on things, right, to commit is great. I so many people like that at Empire. So it was awesome. So that was an amazing interaction.
I just want to give Sam a big hug right now.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, Sam did a post. We'll go into it. That's not
actually the very last thing on this. The other sort of final aspect was that he was under Archer, so I needed to send a letter to Kaylee to basically say that he's dead, and how we performed. I wanted to give like an update of how we did.
You have now taken over the New Archers, like Genghis Khan.
But
is that what you said?
No. Oh. But it was like, like writing an IC letter like that was
yours
like
is mine.
Yeah,
I'm going to build,
I am the captain now.
I'm going to build an empire on the foundation of Sparrow's death.
No, honestly, it was like really like writing an IC letter like that about someone, informing someone of somebody's death who you were kind of responsible at that moment for being the commander of, was a really...
Commander guilt is real. In fact...
Like, I was like...
Dude, Sparrow had this
a
lot. Do you remember the one that we all ran away from bravely?
Yeah.
Sparrow was in charge of that and felt terrible about it. This is like survivor's guilt, or at least command guilt is very real.
It was... Oh, man... And there was so many levels to it. Like, think about it, like in terms of character as well. Like, I'm a physics, so I should have seen it, and I'm an alchemist, so I should have done something to fix it. and so it's like hangs heavy on Talis, right?
Well, Talis does have a track record of this.
Yes, yeah, of failing, right? Like
failing to keep the people he cares about
alive. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not good.
God, it's almost like if you went back now and read your original character brief. Like if you went back now though, and you were like, "Hey, let's read what Ian in 2018 wrote about Talis and his hopes and motivations."
I'm as heroic as Ian can be.
I would say, say for example, the death of his best friend, Ifan Ashbourne, and now Sparrow, and then Quinn, his new apple of his eye, is now almost died because of his reckless disregard for other people's safety. Might weigh heavy on Talis. Do you not think?
Possibly so.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Man, shit. It was a tough
I
letter
wish
to write.
Gellert would get up your arse more. He's not that guy, but I want to. My next character, Ian, is going to get so up your arse. It's going to be so uncomfortable.
I think I really enjoy playing like Talis and just the way that people kind of bounce off his little eccentricities.
Dude, your eccentricities are amazing. It's like there's like loads of little things that Talis does that's like very Talis-y. Like I agree, like it's hard because sometimes Empire is like one of those events where it feels very RP low and immersion high, and it is true, but like I know very clearly Talis actions compared to Ian actions.
Yeah.
It's just if you were just around us and you didn't know us, then you wouldn't necessarily read into those little moments or decisions that are made, right?
I think and it's everyone kind of plays off them really in a fun way as well. Like we had this thing where everyone who's part of the Entwined Past is giving some money, and that each person is basically giving money to the brand that is me, and then that money is getting passed to the war chest. Ridiculous. And I saw the money was given to me, and I was like, I'm just gonna nip off to the market for a little bit, and then I was like, no, and they were like, who gave him the money? It was just like little details like that. And then I me saying to him, I could have doubled it. It was just like...
Could have doubled it, could have lost all of it.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Those little bits of sort of quite small RP are a lot of fun, actually.
Man, I thought a lot about like a new character, obviously, because when threats against real life are very high,
you start thinking about that kind of thing.
About it. But yeah, you got a surprise coming for you. So while you're having this crazy, really interesting, amazing battle, and I missed all of Sparrow's death, I missed all the battle, I missed all that stuff, because I was hiding around Empire, trying not to get myself killed by who I believed were Black Scar trying to kill me. Who members of, who, not all of them, are very professional criminals.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was Ban got executed on the Saturday for impersonating a militia member,
right? And
wasn't in charge of that group. When I spoke to them later in the day, they hadn't heard anything about anything like this, and if they had, then they were like, "Dude, like, come on, man, like, we homies, like, I'm the Freddo guy, right? Like, I get them Freddos, like, we hang out, like, I really like a whole bunch of them.
What they're really saying to you, Dave, is the price wasn't high enough.
Yeah,
that's what they're really saying.
Maybe that's what they're actually saying.
There's a price.
Maybe.
No, but Black Scar are awesome, mate.
No,
our relationship with Black Scar is really cool.
They're homies. Like, I really like hanging out with them. They're like, I don't want to... Ban does a podcast. I'm gonna list off a whole bunch. Actually, I'm gonna mention it now.
Yeah.
There's a few Empire podcasts now that are well worth listening to.
Really good.
I'm going to list them out. So Sophie and James do a wonderful one called Fancy Nuts a Larp podcast. Ban does a really good one called the band's Shattersong Diaries. They're really well worth listening to. A lovely couple that I managed to meet in Dawn do To Have and To Roll podcasts. I'm going to leave all of these links in the description. If you want to go and find them, please listen to them.
It's more Empire and it's more awesome, right? Like,
dude, I love listening to each. Like, I haven't listened to all of everyone's back catalogue, but dude, they're all really entertaining and good to listen to.
Yeah.
So go listen to them. But like, so it was really fun talking to Ban afterwards about like what had happened and how I'd misread and my actual relationship with Black Scar and how paranoid I had become over the course of the weekend, where I believed anyone could be out to get me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think it was interesting as well, because if you also think about it, just from almost like a role play between the two groups, it was a really cool bonding experience, I think, because it's like, we get on really well with Black Scar, but actually this was like an event that happened between the two sort of groups, and the way it resolved meant we're like, oh yeah, we are actually really good with Black Scar.
It's like when you step away from it, right? Like, well, the Black Scar senators put a motion through to get me elected to the Ambassador of Jam.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, they have supported
his first
me.
ever motion, right?
We've supported them.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that, like, they would choose a value of money to come in, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But in the game, and all the context that happened before, and bear in mind, this paranoia little seed started with the Winds of Fortune, right? Where it was just like, well, this would be a good opportunity to create chaos.
Oh, dude, you've had this living in your mind for a long time.
Yes, and everything else cascaded from it. Now, I was really worried through the course of the weekend that by me being like, hey, could people babysit me for the entire weekend would be terrible. I've heard people have really enjoyed being my bodyguard.
I really enjoyed being a bodyguard, honestly. And I did it for a little bit, but like it was a great experience.
It was amazing watching how people approached it, how they approached other citizens to keep away from me, or to keep me safe, or to tell me not to take a vodka shot, or miss out on a battle, and all this stuff. It's just like, it's really fucking cool. Like Callum on Saturday night, he comes up to me and we're all drunk and having fun. He just comes up to me and goes, "Please don't die. You're generating so much game." Okay, and I was just like, that one line was just like, it meant the world to me. It really meant the world to me.
It's really true as well, though, dude.
Because it was like you get to like let everyone else have some fun, and it was just like, I was so worried about being the burden and being this thing, but like. In the end of the day, it was more like, actually, I think people really enjoyed it and I loved it.
I think there is the fundamental truth that it's not reality, right? So it's not actually a job that people are press ganged into, where they basically just have to walk their 9 to 5. Nothing happens pretty much all the time. It's not actually that. It's a fantasy world where anything can happen at any time.
Do you know how beautiful it was talking to other nations, and they were like, the impression of like, wow, you must be very wealthy to have so many bodyguards.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's a threat on your life. Do you need mercenaries?
Yeah.
And it's like, no. There's pride in my nation and bonds of loyalty that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Right? And these people will put themselves in danger to keep me alive through this. And it's, dude, I could wax lyrical for a long time about my affection
Navarre being Navarre is amazing.
Embercast, the people in our own banner that really they were like amazing.
Like Win, just like watching Paige get so much game and watching Bun get so much game as well.
Dude,
those two specifically were just wow.
I met Paige through playing an online game through Story Masters, and I reached out to her and we made friends, and we've played RP games in the past. It's so cool seeing someone and you get instincts about a person as being fucking badass.
Yeah.
Paige is a bad motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
And it's like her being on side of me and being my proxy gives me power.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes me feel like...
It was awesome at the fucking the Senate, like watching you, because I was in the gallery at that point, watching the two of you move around.
Yeah.
Like, as a
she
duo
was like my
so
shadow.
Good.
She was like... but had a sense of menace.
She was on your shoulder, dude.
If you like
she was so cool.
I could literally feel her on me, right? Like touching me. It was just like, it's like the really cool. Anyway, I'll stop talking about how fucking awesome Paige is. She's also pretty and fun and intelligent. Right. So Sunday morning. I'm running around. Basically, I'm hiding all around the Empire. I go and hide in Dawn with the senators group, and I'm just like hanging out there, and then I've got a meeting at 11 o'clock with Emily's. So I head over there and we sit down, and I'm just like, listen, Liberty Pact be a thing, I don't know how that's going to go, and I literally brief her, so I'm like, military council say this, here was a statement from them, like, if I don't make it because I get killed, these are all the information that you need to know, okay? And we're like, but not only all the different groups that I went to, I'm also imparting things like, like, if she says, like, oh, they're demanding this, I'm like, it's not a demand, it's an advisor telling us that that would be a good course of action. Yeah. It's not a demand. And I'm like, fielding, like, I'm prepping her to be like, get out there and, like, this needs to be shut down, don't let them do this, this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, cool. And we go through all this stuff, and it's really, really fun. The Lord comes over, and I'm chatting to him about, because we've both been to Jam, and we're chatting about how beautiful Jam is and all this stuff. Really fucking cool. We're good to go. All that needs to happen is a motion needs to be put in, and then I'll take to the Senate, and then I'll be an expert witness, and we'll try and get this motherfucker through. As far as I'm concerned, pretty much every political body and pretty much all the senators I've spoken to all agree that war with Jam is a bad idea. Some point in the morning, I'm like, let's go. Like, I'm talking to Goldie's there. Okay, so me and him are talking about, like, we're also talking about, like, everything that has happened and what chances we have of success of not going to war and all this stuff, right? And I'm like, hey, how would you mind introducing me to the group that I had beef with in the league, right? Because the group that we think might be potentially trying to come after us.
Yeah, the actual source of what we think the claim is, or what you think the claim is.
Which is a group called The Withering Gaze, okay? Yeah. And if you hear the name The Withering Gaze, I mean, from an external point of view, pretty fucking scary, okay? And then we head over there, Goldie points him out, I wave at him, walk over there, all friendly like, and I just say, and it's like, I've got limited numbers with me. I'm not going with the fucking war tribe again. Yeah. And I'm just like, hey, I'm Gellert Ashbourne. I'm would you like to maybe have a sit down and a chat? And he goes, I think that would be a very good idea, right? Yeah. So I felt bad because Goldie was like, hey, should I join you? And I'm like, no, this needs to be a private conversation between the two of us. And I sat down with this guy who's part of the Withering Gaze. Do you know who the Withering Gaze are? Yeah. There's a couple in the league, and they both have really cool matching outfits, and they walk around, and they're like the coolest fucking thing. They're one of the earliest groups that I remember walking past and being like, not only like kit goals, but like life couple goals, right? They're just the coolest fucking people. That's them, okay? Right. And we sit down, and we're just like, I'm just like, here's what happened from my point of view. Yeah. And he's like, here's what happened from my point of view. So I know why the Jarmus citizens were here. Right. Well, at least I know what he told me, right? Which seems way more plausible than anything else that happened. I know generally what happened with that. I know what threat a whole bunch of militia and heavily armed Navarre
might look like
for other groups. Yeah. And basically we kind of buried the hatchet and kind of laughed it off.
Are you basically trying to say that you should have chilled the fuck out?
But dude, the whole game's all about like misinformation and like I'm being told that someone's trying to kill me, and the only people that have tried to fucking fuck with me. But it's also like, for the league, assassination is the worst. Yeah, like it's terrible. If you're killing someone, you've run out of all other options, and it's like you should be cursing people and doing stuff. So out of all the nations, in fact, an assassination attempt from the Brass Coast is the least likely. League, wasn't it? The league. The league is the least likely. So they're related to friends of mine in the Reapers, who are really good friends of mine. Quick shout out to my friend Nick. He actually broke his arm very severely. Man, I went to visit him in hospital because it was Milton Keynes and I live nearby. Poor lad. Absolutely fucked his arm up. Had to have surgery, metal plates, the whole caboodle. Like our friend Phil, who at the recent Northern Kingdoms event, broke his collarbone. Oh man, be careful out there, folks. It's a dangerous game. But hey, I hope both of you have a really speedy recovery. It sucks that people get hurt. Man downs are no fun. So I bury the hatchet with the Withering Gaze, with the Withering Gaze. I hope I've made new friends out of them. It's a really funny story, dude. But again,
the whole thing's a misunderstanding.
But again,
I love it.
But again, just because I'm paranoid still doesn't mean that people still aren't trying to kill me. Yeah. Right? There's still, I need to press up my intelligence assets and be funny. Where did these come from? What's actually happening? Right?
I love the level of nerves and stuff that were running through you and the adrenaline.
It melted my brain.
you got on a paranoia train, like,
Yeah.
but it was
and
kind of
reinforced though.
Yeah.
The worst thing about this was that at whole points throughout
But
the entire weekend,
you had like confirmation bias,
we kept having to say, like, I kept asking people, "Am I being paranoid here?" And then people would be like, "Nah, man, that guy was acting shady." Or what about the two league people that approached with rubber bands looking for a weapons check? Why did this guy try and distract people off? All these, I'm getting reports from everyone involved that are like, 100%, no, there's definitely a threat to your life. So all the information I'm receiving in is like, and do you know what it made me feel like with the Withering Gaze was like, I remember stories about like the Cold War where like you only get like telegrams from each other and like you might get two messages at the same time.
And they contradict each other.
And they contradict each other. There was a point on, I think it was Saturday night, we had established the Withering Gaze as potentially the group. Yeah. And my watchers, they came to me and it was just like, this is after I found out that they're like much more significant threats to my life. Yeah. And they came to me and were just like just let me know when you want to go on this. Yeah. And I was like, maybe. It says, let me gather my forces. And within 10 to 15 minutes, there was a small group, like a large group of quite capable people, very capable people. I don't know what they were going to do. My watcher basically said to me, don't worry about it. Well, this is going to be taken care of. And I had to stop it and be like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know enough information now. Yeah. Like, don't go now. Like, don't do it. Yeah. Like, if anything happens to me, then go. But like right now, I don't have enough information to send the dogs off. Right. To send the gates of hell coming down. Jesus. That's what I mean. I'm also having people tell me like, do you want me to kill them? But do you want me just to go and bump them off? And I'm like, all of this is like.
We've had a bunch of these conversations throughout the whole event, right?
Man.
Even in like people saying like, do we move preemptively? All this kind of stuff. It was super interesting game.
Because,
I think
because the pride and the loyalty of a lot of Navarre are like, we won't tolerate a threat to any of our group, right? Like it's kind of one of those things where you just like, this is an insult to the nation that you would even consider yourselves to be able to fucking touch one of our people, right? Like, and it was just like, but the love I felt from people. Anyway, I'm rambling.
It was so good though. Like the game you provided through all of that is actually a level that I think might surprise you.
Yeah, it was really cool. Anyway, should we talk about the Dornish death? Because oh my god, talk so about tragic, feels. Dude. I get back, and bear in mind, I'm still running around doing all my political shit. I'm completely in a bubble, right? Like nothing else exists in my world apart from Senate motions and all this stuff that's happening, okay? And trying to sort this stuff out with the assassination. The young man who was courting the Dornish lady came back, and he was literally crying. Literally crying. He looked devastated, and I had to remind myself that I'm at a Larp, and that this is probably RP because of he looked devastated. Yeah. Like, and then I heard that the young lady in question,
Lady Emmeline, right?
Is it Lady Emmeline?
Yeah.
Had tragically lost her life in the battle.
Yeah. Oh,
and
man.
Dude.
Yeah.
He wept.
Yeah.
Like, he wept like his one true love, the person that meant more to him than anyone else in the entire world, the person that he would happily in that moment trade himself for, had died.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
And I was...
The whole camp was affected, right? Like, it was like, it's crazy levels of RP. Like,
if he's going to court like a Dornish lady, he's going to have to leave Navarre and go to Dorne. But all of us are like, that lad's fucking Dornish. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Hey, yeah, it's cool that he has a tats and stuff, but that lad's Dornish. You know, best let him go. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think that's the great thing about the idea of the Great Dance, right? This idea that it can actually move you in and out of the nation.
Yeah.
And
definitely
Navarre's like almost a way of life, right?
Yeah, it's a mentality. It's like, but I also like the fact is that like when we talk about characters like Greg, our friend Orion, he's a Varushkan. I wouldn't try and sway him to become a Navarre because he's a Erusian. There are other friends, say for example in High Guard, that should stop fucking being a pussy about things and come and join Navarre like as soon as possible. Once they're better, obviously, but like stop being a fucking get on with it. Right. So I head down to Senate. There's me and Goldie, and we head down there. And there's this little coalition of like, there's Lady Emmeline, there's like the Master of the Mint shows up. There's a bunch of these different characters that show up, and we're all invested in the Yarm game. Yeah. And Lady Emmeline comes up to me and she says, like, we checked the notice board that has the motions that are going to be taking place in the Senate. There is no motion for neutrality with Yarm.
Oh my word, how did that happen?
Okay, so Lady Emily comes up and she says, I'm so sorry. Loads of things happened. The wording of the doc, trying to get it in. It has to be in before 12 o'clock or it doesn't go into the Senate motions at 2 o'clock, okay?
Right.
She's really apologetic. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Like, OC, I'm like, you mean I walked around this field and I did all this. I spoke to all these different groups. And I don't even know what happened with the Liberty Pact vote, right? That's still in flux. But this was my one thing like I could do to really like help was to get the Senate motion through. And I did. Everyone's briefed and everyone knows and no one wants this and it still didn't work. And but like honestly, like it's so beautiful. Yeah. It's so good. So me and Goldie,
it's spicy as hell.
Me and Goldie, we turn to each other, and it's literally like one of those like beautiful film moments where we're just like, well, we tried our best.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like we did our best, and it wasn't like it was just like that bond that me and Goldie had built up over that weekend of trying to both work so hard to try and get this one thing and do all this stuff, and then I was just like, we need to send a wing messenger right now.
Right.
Okay. And it's like, okay. And it was like this moment of like dejection and failure was overcome by like, what time is it?
Yeah. There's like, not long till time out.
No. And as we've just established, sending a wing messenger, especially for a dyslexic person, is a colossal pain in the dick and takes a really long time. Yeah. So I'm like, Lady Evelyn, don't feel bad at all. Right. Like, we still have a chance.
Yeah, we got a shot at this.
We got fucking we're not done yet. Let's fucking do it, okay? So me and Goldie head up to God and we literally sit down and we fucking construct this fucking letter, which I'm basically just like, actually I won't say what was in the letter.
I mean, it's
basically,
fun, so leave it.
I would describe it as a Hail Mary in the world of diplomacy. Yeah. I am literally just like, here's what I've been doing, here's what happened, here's what I think about it, like, bam, 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 bam. Yeah. But the worst thing is, I have to write the fucking thing out twice, right? I write it out on the computer with a bad keyboard, and I have to write it out on the bit of paper, okay?
Really? Okay, right.
So, and bear in mind, I'm dyslexic. My writing looks like a fucking crazy person. Like, like, people laugh about, like, my notebooks look like they'll be used as evidence in a fucking court case, okay? That's what my writing looks like. So I'm trying to write all this out. I've got my glooming. I fucking do the thing. I literally run back to Navarre. Yeah. I have to be like to Al, who's one of our egregores. I have to be like, hey, can I get a ref? It's 15 minutes too, by the way. Yeah. I'm like, I need to get a ref, and he's like 15 minutes. I'm like, it's like, and I hate doing this because I felt so rude to Al. He's just such a wonderful human being. I was like, this is the question between us going to war with Jean or not. And then he's just like, okay. And he's like, okay, 5 minutes. I'm like, sweet. Then the ref showed up and they couldn't find the ritual. Oh, no. So they give you a ritual number and then they, I wrote it all out. And bear in mind, I'm like I'm buzzing. Yeah. Not only with everything that happened over the weekend, the paranoia of the fucking everything,
this is
writing the note out, running across, trying to get this referee. The referee was great, by the way, but trying to get Cadigan here, the manner in question, everything has to be right? Everything has to be perfect or we're fucked, right? And then it was just then they couldn't find the thing. I was just like, oh my god, time is and then they had to do buzzing through on the walkie-talkie, talk to God, try and sort it out. Then they managed to figure out a new access way to get into it using the pad, and then they did it, and it was just like, oh my God. He was like, bam, and he just said, I said to him, like, can we just take our time with the RP? Is that cool? Like, we just want to enjoy the RP of it. He was like, yeah, make sure you email PD, like, afterwards, just to make sure all this went through and it's fine. I've emailed PD, I haven't heard back yet, so I don't know whether either of my messages went. I think they did, but we don't know. We went and did the ritual. Second time round was great. He was like, okay, instead of this time I'm trying to summon an eagle, we're going to try and summon a duck, and then hopefully we'll get an eagle. Right. And then Diablo showed up again.
Oh, it was so good. I was there for that one as well, so it was really nice that the whole camp kind of got involved.
Yeah.
And it was like the very last action of the game, basically. Mm-hmm. And then off it flew. So good.
Godspeed, little Diablo. Godspeed. By the virtues, I hope you do well.
What an event.
And that was Time Out.
Yeah.
And I'm still recovering now.
Yeah.
It's Thursday. I'm like, it was a lot, right?
A lot.
I don't know whether... So, if we are at War Yarm, however the fuck you say it, then I am no longer ambassador.
Yeah.
Okay? If that happens, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, I really tried hard to become the ambassador Jarm. I really tried hard to learn and do the best I can in the role. But if the world moves past that and then we're at war, then that's fine. But like the journey I've been on has been amazing. Yeah. Different characters I've come into contact with. Like I saw senators after my election over this weekend. I just ran up to them and I was like, hey, or they would either approach me or I'd approach them and I'd be like, hey, just want to say thank you very much for supporting me for Ambassador Jarm. And they would just be like, no, you answered the questions correctly, you'll do great. Like to have that kind of like homey support is cool, but then have people approach you and stuff like this. Bear in mind, when they did approach me, we were all fucking paranoid that there were assassins about and just assumed they were trying to kill me. So
I really hope you don't lose it. Like I really hope that you've done enough. Both ways, it's a really fun story, but just for you, I really love you having this as like a thing. I think it's been really good for you.
Like I thought about like Gellert dying and like being like, well, I can't go straight into the military, the diplomacy game again. But Gellert's alive, so even if I do lose my ambassador role, then there might be other nations that I can go and put my foot. Like I like the idea of like being the advocate for the damned. Give me your worst, shittiest nation that we have our worst relationship with. Unfortunately, obviously, there's this whole threat of the Liberty Pact and all that stuff. So maybe we're just going to go to war with all of them. It would suck for me personally. It would suck because of all the diplomacy and all that stuff. But you've done to be on the opposite side, right? Well, that whole parts of the game would end because we're all at war with them.
But that's the nature of these long arcs, right? Eventually they come to fruition, and you know that's just how it goes.
Yeah, but it would mean
I don't think that time is now.
It would mean the halving of all the diplomats.
Yeah,
which would suck because it's a really fun part of the game, and it's cool the little community that's coming out.
But then they would probably like with a thing like that, you would have to come up with probably an excuse to maintain some level of communication between warring parties if the scale is like World War level.
I don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about. I think there are people that do have that job, but that's not an ambassador job, so it'd be different. There was one of the ambassadors writes a diplomatic summary at the end of the event, which was out incredibly fast, which I was featured in, where he throws just the right amount of shade and just the right amount of praise about Gellert's performance. And it's really cool to kind of read it and be like, motherfucker, and then be like, nah, homie's down. Right, like there's a balance to it where it's like, well, he gave a very impassioned speech, or whatever, on the Friday that was probably wrong in a bunch of ways, but Gellert seems to be learning very quickly, and therefore should be, dealt with. And it's just like this. There's a balance to it that was just so lovely. And then, like, they also mentioned my Hail Mary message at the end of the event as well, as being like maybe there is a chance. Maybe there is a chance. And right now, while you're listening to this, folks, like, that chance is real and it's great and it's wonderful, right? But like I said, if it doesn't go through, cool. If it does, then sweet. But either way, what a story.
It's been so good.
Dude, me and Goldie coming together, fucking two guys that didn't know each other, trying our best, and then to be scuppered by a bureaucratic technicality just before we managed to get across the line. Mwah! Beautiful.
Man, it's just phenomenal game that it is just the best event that I've been to.
Yeah, it's the best Empire event I've been to.
Yeah.
Definitely the best event I've ever been to. Empire event I've ever been to for sure. I had so much going on.
Yeah.
I'm still picking up the pieces of my brain right now. Yeah. A few days later, I feel exhilarated.
Yes. It's only 6 weeks till the next one. It's crazy.
Let's hope it's not. Let's hope things have chilled out a bit, right?
I don't know. Some people like the burn, Dave. Sometimes that's you. I know.
The worst thing
is you play hard and then you get annoyed when the game plays hard back.
I'm not even annoyed.
No.
I'm not even annoyed. Annoyed is the wrong word.
Yeah.
I'm more like it's. I don't know.
You played yourself, son.
It's more like, oh man, just
look. If you push all the buttons, something's going to happen.
Yeah, but pushing the buttons is fun and But what's weird? That's my point. What's weird is now you just make for all this you just make more friends.
Yeah.
And then the more friends you make, even the people that you think are your enemies, will be amazing contacts. Yes. Just to go into a nation and be like, hey, do you know anyone that does this? Or do you know this person? It just makes the whole game that much more fun.
I think the fact that the threat of death outside of the battles is just at the right level where you it could happen, but it's not like you're going to get shanked walking down the street by somebody you don't know, right? The threat is just enough that it's there.
You don't want to murder hobo.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way: the privilege of being worthwhile, of no other options face you but to kill someone, is the best way to be killed.
Yeah.
To be robbed and murdered for the shrapnel in your pocket is lame, right? We had this conversation recently with some people about crime, but it's would you doing the crime make the player have a better or worse weekend or a better or worse experience, right? And I know some experiences can be rough, but dude, the idea of being assassinated by pros for the right reason is amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas the idea of just being hit because you're bored or want to just create chaos would be really sad, right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You had there was the right feeling that all that stuff was in place, right? I think. Mm-hmm. For me, it felt that there is a world where Gellert does get killed. He does get assassinated.
Yeah.
And as much as that would suck for you,
Black Scar did get the contract. The throne value or weapon that they were offering was so delicious and juicy that they couldn't pass up the opportunity and had to do it.
Yeah.
And then they wolf pack in, eliminate protection, or draw me away in some way and kill me.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it would just be especially the thing is with the story that you've built is that regardless of what happens with the the Jarm situation, it's a good story either way. Yeah. And that's ultimately what you're looking for when you're playing a role-playing game. You're looking for a situation where all the doors are interesting.
Dude, I was really bummed out after not getting ambassador to Yarm in the initial election. I was kind of bummed out about it. Yeah. And it's kind of fun looking back at that now and seeing how my a shift in how I approach the game and all that stuff. It's just it's good to have a separation between you and your character.
Yeah.
It's good to understand that the story of your character is actually the most important thing.
Yeah.
And trying to judge it by outcomes is a very bad way to put it.
Yeah. It's possibilities, right? Is what you're looking for.
And through your failures, let me put it this way: through my experience of going through every single step I've done, led me to where I am now, and that includes people like Eli, the previous ambassador before me, really supporting me and wanting to be his proxy, taking me under his wing, taking me to the military council, the diplomat meeting on the Friday night, just to hang out and introduce myself, right? To be as prepped as possible for when I do need to go in front of the Senate, talking to senators, but also being prepped for that I'm ready. So when I stand in front of the Senate, that literally ask me your questions.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to know who I am and that I'm the best candidate for this, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's dope. Hey, fuck. Like, who knows? War with Jarm could be fucking amazing, right? Like let's not fuck around here.
I personally hope you succeed, but it'd be amazing. It's amazing either way. It's a great story.
Yeah, and even if it is just like, I don't know, it would be cool. Like, even if it was just like a letter from the other ambassador being like, "Go fuck yourself" or whatever, or whatever the hell. Like, that would be cool. Just to be like,
if
if. But who knows? Like, I don't know. That's good. Have we come to the end of our notes?
We have. It was just all round an incredible event.
How long have we been talking for?
I think this ending sequence has been pretty long because we've just been talking about how amazing it was. But Jesus, it was great, dudes.
There's loads of people that I haven't mentioned, and loads of interactions that I haven't had, and I'm going to continue to do that. But like, man, thank you all. Thank you, Empire. Thank you to the crew. Thank you to Matt and the team. Thank you to all the people involved in basically letting us have
just the best time,
life affirming shit.
Yeah.
I
can't wait to do it all again.
In fucking 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Man. 6 weeks is gonna be spicy, son.
Mate, I want to get down. I want to go and read some smart, and I want to go and maybe see some NPCs at some point.
I'm tempted to write some smart.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know a good artist. Yeah. Very good at doing likenesses.
But yeah. Oh man.
Do you have an artist in mind?
No, I haven't really. I've got an initial beginnings of an idea. It's just.
Are you going to draw it yourself?
No, I think I'm talking about like a smart story.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
To be read.
I feel comfortable reading other people's smut stories. I don't know how comfortable I'm going to be reading your smut story.
Dude, I don't know if I'll do it, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
Jesus. Well,
on that bombshell. Look, it's just been awesome, and thank you so much for listening to all of our rambles through the event.
Yes, and thank you to our patrons, by the way. You are way more important than you think you are at the moment. Like, trying to do stuff like go and do interviews, and petrol is really expensive, batteries and all that stuff. So, hey, really appreciate you patrons at the moment. Like, it's fucking great. Also, we're trying to think about fun things we can do with that money. We've been working on a few kind of super secret projects.
Yeah.
A lot of it is in the hands of Damon Albarn right now. So if you're a fan, if you know someone that's in Blur, like, please message us. Like, very important. Damon Albarn, Blur. If you know any cousins, relatives, like your sister's married to one of them, any of you, like, please message me. Jesus. Yeah, come on, Damon. I believe in you. Oh,
I'm not even mad at you for the outrageous shilling.
No, I don't care. Like, no, at this stage in the game,
yeah,
there is no. You got to reach out to Damon and be like, "Please, brother, please, please." Sorry, Damon.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
Do you want to say it?
No, we'll. Oh, the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to do it?
No.
Okay.
It's your turn, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think it is.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening. Strength to the Empire.
Strength in the bar.